I know a lot of people are saying that this is good gateway horror. This movie's still pretty hardcore to be gateway.
Drive-by movies, you're watching
Fresh releases.
My name's Blaise.
And I'm James.
And this week we're talking Clown in a Cornfield.
Clown in a Cornfield is the new film from Shudder, and it's about a fading Midwestern town in which Friendo, the clown, a symbol of bygone success, re-emerges as a terrifying scourge. So, clowns, well, they will always be part of horror, just like till the end of time. Like, I really thought we were going to get a huge resurgence of clown movies when it came out, just because, like, you know, that was it. But really, outside of Terrifier, that's been pretty much it. And, you know, whether or not you like Terrifier, I don't want to get into that, but I'll just say I can't stand those movies. But here we got like a more traditional slasher style movie with just the killers being clowns. Is it like Killer Clowns from Outer Space? No, I'd say more it's on the Scream level of just like your typical fun slasher movie, but with clowns. But does it work? Blaise, what are your thoughts coming out of the movie?
So this was a movie that I feel like was kind of came out of nowhere, but it feels like a movie that would have come out, like, I feel like in the 90s or early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. It does feel like it would have fit in with, like, I Know What You Did Last Summer or Scream, obviously. It does feel like that niche, but in a modern take with modern day technology and stuff. But yeah, this was one where I wasn't really expecting much because the reviews were very lukewarm coming out of this movie. That's why I feel like we didn't jump in to go see it in theaters, but it is now available on Shudder. You can check it out on there. I feel like I enjoyed this movie for the most part. It didn't really blow my socks off, but I did feel like nostalgic at least about it. I think clowns are one of those things where there's not that many clown movies per se. You mentioned Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That's kind of where my mind always goes. But when it comes to like Halloween season, there's always like clown mazes and stuff, and I'm like, what movies are we really pulling from these? It feels like Clown in a Cornfield solved that problem, and now you're going to be seeing Friendo the clown pop up everywhere at every Halloween horror night maze, or, you know, off-market ones like Knott's Berry Farm or something.
Honestly, I'd prefer it, though, just because I know this year we're getting a Terrifier maze for the first time at Halloween Horror Nights. And I'm just like, I just hate seeing Damien Leone's Terrifier on everything. Also, my job involves a lot of novelty items, we'll say. And let's just say anytime we get Terrifier merch, I'm just like, oh my God, why is Damien Leone always got to put his name on everything and stuff, too? Whereas this movie, like, I know it's based off of like young adult novels. I'm not sure if it's like on the level of Goosebumps or a little bit more horrific on that aspect, but I know a lot of people are saying on this movie that this is good gateway horror. This movie's still pretty hardcore to be gateway, I'd say. Like, when I think of gateway horror, I think of, like, you know, some people might say Goosebumps or Scary Kids or Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark or whatever. Like, I always considered more movies like kind of like Gremlins to be more gateway horror, where it's creepy, kind of violent in a way, but still like suitable for kids, I guess you can say. Whereas this movie's got some pretty intense gory sequences, and it earned its R rating. I like that made me think I was going to be watching a PG-13 movie, and this is not at all PG-13. There's plenty of cussing, plenty of gore and intestines within this movie, and, like, you know, heads slicing off. But this is what I wanted from this Scream reboots that we're getting, or these legacy sequels. I can't stand those movies. I don't think we've reviewed them on the show, and we don't really talk about them, but I hate those movies. And this is what I wanted from it. This captured that vibe overall altogether so much better. This isn't anything original by any means, but it just worked for me. I just had a fun time. There, like, you know, there's some annoying kids within this movie, but they're all like genuinely have like reasons to be the way that they are. My only complaint for this movie is overall, like, this is going to be kind of a spoiler, but like, having Kevin Durant in the movie, like, just like, okay, we've only seen him twice within this movie, like, he's got to be the villain at the end of the movie. So when it's revealed that he's like, you know, behind everything, I was like, big surprise. Like, you know, Kevin Durant is that guy at this moment, you know, being casted in Abigail, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And, you know, also we just saw him in The Naked Gun a couple weeks ago. Like, he's not a huge actor, but just like, I'm like, he's not a guy you cast just to be in 2 sequences. So, yeah.
He's also playing like a very over the top character that almost feels like a Scooby-Doo villain.
Yeah.
Like the end of this movie definitely reminded me of Scooby-Doo, and I'm like, oh, I wouldn't mind seeing like Friendo the Clown in like a Scooby-Doo crossover episode or something. I feel like that might already even exist at this point. But yeah, I can definitely agree with you there. I kind of want to talk a little bit about you were saying about gateway horror. I haven't seen people talk about this movie like that, but I think people have lost the script in what a gateway horror film kind of really is. Like, it definitely wouldn't have any gore whatsoever. It would be scary enough, like, where there might be some implied blood, there could be some blood. I think of like as the first Scream almost like as a gateway horror in a way, maybe. Like it's usually something that's also more mainstream. But yeah, this is definitely not that. This is definitely not super hardcore by any means, but there's definitely a decent amount of gore that I didn't expect even going into the movie. Like, I was expecting this to be a lot more toned down, especially, you know, Eli Craig had directed, I think, a movie that we both really enjoyed, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and he hasn't really done a ton since then that's super notable. So it's cool to see him get a movie that Shudder really put some money behind. They really believe in this movie. They had a activation at Comic-Con recently, and the movie had come out in March or February. So it's interesting. Usually movies don't get posthumous, you know, activations after their film had already come out. I don't know if that was probably, you know, anticipating the Shudder release, but it seems like Shudder's really trying to make this their like stalwart kind of franchise. I don't know if the books had sequels. I think they did though.
Apparently there's a ton of them from what I've like read. I haven't done research on this movie, but from the little blurbs I've read on Letterboxd, like apparently there is a long lasting series of books.
So that makes sense. I think Netflix has really fumbled the bag on like the whole Fear Street franchise that they were starting to do, and they were all not really up to par, like, for some reason. This seems like more along the lines of what Netflix should have done with Fear Street, and especially because Fear Street, I would think, is a bigger property, but maybe it's more niche. Maybe Clan of Cornfield is that next generation, like you're saying, franchise, and it definitely is something that I think a lot of people were talking about this movie, so it seems like Shudder's doing the right thing here. Yeah, I enjoyed this movie a lot for the most part. The clown, though, I don't know if I love his design, I have to say. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna be up there with loving Terrifier as much as like other people. I think I'm kind of more along the same lines as you, where it's like he is creepy, but I just don't like when he pulls out a 12 gauge shotgun and shoots somebody in the face. It's not really my favorite thing.
I did like that he looks more like a traditional clown. Like, you know, he's definitely creepy, but like Terrifier, like you see that guy on the street, you're just like, no, that dude is messed up. Like, that ain't normal. Like, there's no way that guy's hanging out with kids and like making them laugh. He's making everyone feel uncomfortable. And, you know, there isn't really those sequences within it, but just like nobody could get away with walking around that way in the street. Like, everyone would be recording, being like, look at this freak and stuff. Versus this, like, you know, it looks like more like advertisement style Ronald McDonald clown. But of course, like during the kill sequences, they were wearing like more sinister masks, I guess you could say. But overall, the main logo we're seeing, I was like, all right, this is more justifiable as like a normal killer clown, I guess you could say. Or I guess you could just say he's just a little more low key about it, but it still has that just right amount of creepiness to it.
One thing I did like, being a huge Killer Clowns fan, was like, I like that there's a clown in it, and he's doing clown like things like the horn and stuff. Yeah. I guess Terrifier does the same thing, but for some reason I feel like it's almost inauthentic when Terrifier does it, because like you said, he's not like a real clown. Like, no clown looks like that.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, it's just bizarre. But yeah, like I like those aspects of it. I think this film failed at being kind of like a whodunit or a good surprise twist at the end. Obviously, like you said, Kevin Durant and even Will Sasso and the gang. Like,
yeah, good point too.
I like seeing Will Sasso in there, but even when he picks up the kid like in his car, I'm like, yeah, he's definitely gonna come. Like he's basically saving that kid so he can come back or something. But yeah, like this film, I think it scratched an itch of, it felt like an older movie that had come out in the early 2000s, where I feel like a lot of movies try and do that. Like even that recent Fear Street movie, Fear Street Prom Queen, that came out earlier this summer on Netflix, they were trying to do the 80s thing, but I feel like they horribly failed at that. Yeah. This felt more authentic, and I think that's what made it so enjoyable.
Yeah, and you know, like characters like, you know, I would normally probably not like, but they all have like reasons to be the way that they are, and this movie overall just has heart in it. It's a story about family, as Princess Leia said about The Last Jedi, I guess. But you know, it just overall like a movie that shouldn't work, I guess you could say. This is a movie that's like made for me to hate almost, I felt like, but just overall, it's just a fun movie that just works. It's not trying to be like trying too hard to be anything else. It just does everything just right at the right level of just amount of campiness, creepiness, and comedy as well too. So, you know, it just like a surprise, and you know, great surprise. Like I didn't like the movie because it surprised me. It just like was just really well done and just like tight knit. There's no pointless sequences, I thought, and just like, you know, it's a good, fun-spirited Halloween movie, I guess you could say. So yeah, I could see it actually becoming part of my regular routine of watching every, like, you know, October season. Like I'm already in Halloween mode, and we're only like halfway through August, so you know, I'm super stoked on that. By the time this review comes out, it might be early September, I believe. But yeah, like a fun movie that I highly recommend checking out. Leave a comment down below what you thought about the movie. Great way to help support us. Watch it through Amazon through our affiliate link also. That's a great way to help support us.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And speaking of updates, catch all our social media links down below. We got Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and also our own personal letterbox accounts. That's it for this week. Tune in next week for a brand new video.